Right, next we're looking at the routine of mirror, signal, position, speed and look. Now it's a routine that we use on approaching to junctions. Okay, so it's different from mirror signal manoeuvre because there is extra elements to it. So it's referred to as mspsl. So if the examiner says to you, I'd like you to take the next road on the left please, the first thing we would do in good time to the junction is to check our centre mirror and our left mirror. Now the reason why we check our left mirror is because that's the direction that we're going, but the reason why we check our centre mirror first is because we need to use the two in combination. The one on the left hand side doesn't really show us a great deal, so the centre mirror we rely quite heavily upon to get a true reflection out the back window. So in good time to the junction we would check our centre mirror and our left mirror. Again, same principle as mirror signal manoeuvre, the examiner would be expecting us to physically move our head and to react to whatever we saw with those mirrors. Okay. Now if it was still safe to continue to turn left, we would signal downwards. Okay, so downwards is left. We would do that in good time to the junction. Now we don't do it too far away from the junction because what it could actually be telling people is that we're parking. The other thing is we need to be really careful as to the timing of our signal because there might be another road on our immediate left hand side before the road that we're going to be asked to take, and that could actually influence people behind us. They might think we're taking the first road rather than the second. Okay. So that's the mirror side of it, that's the signal side of it. Now a position to road position when we turn left to keep the vehicle about roughly a normal driving distance, which is approximately a metre from the curb. Now the reason why we do that is it allows everybody on our right hand side or behind us to potentially be able to overtake us, okay, or give the people on the right hand side a little bit more space. Okay, so we would maintain our normal driving position. Alright, so that's the mirror signal position aspect of it. The speed element now means that we need to decrease our speed. Now the way we do that is we decrease the speed more at the start, so we brake quite hard at the start, and then as we get closer towards the mouth of the junction we actually decrease the amount of braking that we do. The reason we do that is because the car will take quite a lot of braking to get the car to begin to slow down. We want to aim to be between 8 and 10 miles an hour. Now it's only a rough idea as to what kind of speed would be, but you would need to be using your brakes very gently, and like I say, you'd need to be up and down on the brakes, not pressing it too hard because we do want to keep the car moving forwards. Okay. The other reason why we tend to do all the braking right at the beginning and not really close to the mouth of the junction is because it limits the amount of skidding that potentially we could do. Okay. So again, we want to slow down, we want to reduce the speed so that it's approximately half the speed is gone before we get to the mouth of the junction. A quarter of the speed is gone within eyesight of the junction, and then your brake is still over, your foot is still over the brake as we begin to steer into the mouth of the junction. Okay. The other thing we need to do then is as we decrease our speed is we need to slow down, and the principle is to slow down, change down. Okay, so if we were in third gear and we were taking the next road on the left, as long as it was quite a wide road, okay, you could do it in second. Now the reason we can use second is because we can begin to see into the mouth of the junction, and if you can see that there's less risk means less speed. Okay, sorry, less risk means more speed. Okay, so more risk means less speed. Alright, so if you can see into the mouth of the junction, there isn't any need to go back to first gear. Okay, you can go around, like I say, under control in second gear. The thing is, you need to do that gear change whilst your foot is still on the brake. You need to have the clutch up before we start to steer. Okay, so the trick is to make sure that you don't change that gear too early, but then you don't change that gear too late, because again, if you steer before the clutch is up, we begin to lose control of the car. The gravity takes over because the clutch is on the floor. Alright, again, we'll have a bit more of a chat about that when we get in the car. So, having done my mirrors, having done my signal, having sorted my position out, having changed my speed and my gear, okay, the next thing I need to do is to steer a course staying approximately again a metre's distance away from the curb. Again, I don't want to hit the curb because that again could damage the vehicle, and I don't want to steer too wide because unfortunately there might be vehicles on the other side of the road, and if I don't stay on the left hand side of the road I could actually steer into the path of an oncoming vehicle, which would be potentially deadly. Alright. Once the vehicle's back in a straight line, again I would counter steer to make sure that the vehicle stays approximately a metre's distance. As I begin to increase my speed, I need to check my centre mirror and my right mirror to make sure that it is safe to increase my speed. What I'm looking for are emergency vehicles or motorbikes that may have followed me through the junction. Okay, if it is then safe to increase my speed, I would do so. and then I just need to make sure that my signal goes off. Again, if I don't cancel my signal, or if the signal doesn't cancel itself, what you could again be telling other people that have just driven into the new road is information that could be misleading. You know, it could suggest that we were parking, for example, or taking the next road on the left, and that wouldn't be the case, as we've just driven into the new road. Alright, and again, if you look at some of the videos that you've got on there, again, particularly of me driving to the test standard, you can see lots of turning left and turning rights. Now, speaking of turning rights, it's exactly the same routine of mirror, signal, position, speed and look. This time though, you would position do your centre mirror and your right mirror. Obviously we're travelling over to the right hand side, so you would check your centre mirror and your right mirror. Again, physically move your head. Okay, you would then signal upwards, because again that's the direction that the steering wheel is going to be travelling as well. You then need to maintain a distance that's just to the left of the centre line, so just to the left of the centre of the middle of the road. Okay, so if there are white lines, your door mirror wants to be placed upon them. And obviously you can't be too far to the right because that's on the other side of the road, and the reason for that again is our road position also acts as a secondary signal. Okay, we will then begin to change our speed again. Now, because we're going to be crossing the paths of oncoming vehicles, potentially we might need to use first gear. Okay, again, we don't want to steer into the mouth of the junction driving too quickly, because again it can lose control of the vehicle. We also need to be incredibly careful of pedestrians, both to the left and to the right. Okay, so if you can see that it's safe to go and you can see that you can cross the path of the oncoming vehicle, then there's no issue with doing it in second. What you try to do is you line up the door mirror with the centre of both roads. So again, you don't steer too early into the mouth of the junction. Again, there might be a bus or something else coming and you steer into the vehicle. Again, it gets awfully exciting. Okay, the other option is obviously don't steer not enough, because again we could hit the curb, could damage the vehicle, could drive into pedestrians, even lampposts and those kind of things that might be on the side of the road. Okay, again it's the usual, get back in a straight line, make sure you check your centre mirror, your right mirror as you increase your speed, and then you would just cancel your signal. Okay, and again all the way through some of those videos that we've now got on that YouTube site, you can see me using mirror, signal, position, speed and look quite a lot. If you ask yourself how many times is the examiner going to ask me to turn left and right on my driving test, it's going to be quite a few. It's a routine that you need to be very, very consistent with. Some of the problems that people have is that they may be going to the junctions too fast, they forget to bring their clutch up before they start to steer, and again that's not something the examiners are very keen on. They don't check their mirrors before they signal, or they signal too early, or they signal too late. And what you'll begin to notice is that this is a routine that you become very frustrated with. Okay, it's got quite a lot of elements to it, and you need to be very, very consistent. Okay, so just to recap, it starts with mirrors, it then has signals involved, it then means maintaining or changing road positions, decreasing speeds and decreasing gear changes, so clutch up before we start to steer. Steering of course into the new road that again doesn't cause others to change speed or direction, maintains a good consistent distance to the curb, and then has mirrors into the new road to make sure that there's no vehicles that have followed us through, and then we just make sure we cancel our signal so it doesn't mislead anybody else. Alright, and again we'll be doing lots of these in your lessons. Alright, thank you.